Trump got zucked. President Trump attempted a coup on the United States of America, and that gets you a 2-week ban off of Facebook. Better watch out. Mark Zuckerberg took to a Facebook post to talk about how he was banning President Trump off of Facebook and Instagram for the next 13 days. Zuckerberg says Trump's posts were inciting violence, which is a breach of Facebook policy. Zuckerberg imposed a 13-day ban while there's a peaceful transition until January 20th for the new president. Mark Zuckerberg assures us that free speech is allowed, except when it comes to violence and coups. Yada yada yada, Trump is zucked for 2 weeks. So what is a coup, or a coup d'etat? A coup is a removal of an existing government, typically through violent means. It's usually a political party, a military, or a dictator. On January 6th, 2021, President Trump attempted a coup on the American government. He advised his Vice President, Mike Pence, to commit treason and say that the election results were illegitimate. When Mike Pence would not commit treason, Trump called on his most loyal supporters to storm the Capitol. This is pretty much the definition of a coup. And for the people who got tricked by Trump to actually commit treason, well, this is what happens when you put authority above everything else. If you only think that the president should be listened to, and that's the only trustworthy source you have, because they're the highest authority, this is what happens. We should try to have some compassion for them. Like, in their world, they are patriots. Everything surrounding them is telling them that what they're doing is right, what they believe is true, even when it's completely not. They are just horribly detached from reality. However, they are domestic terrorists who nearly plunged us into 4 more years of Trump or a lifetime of Trump. If the coup was successful, they should be treated like traitors. They should be arrested by the thousands. And if arresting these thousands of traitors puts a huge strain on our criminal justice system, maybe we should release the non-violent drug offenders who never tried to destroy America. That'll free up some space for them. Look, I would really rather not talk about the coup. I want to get back to breathing. But how do you make a video about anything else when there was just an attempted coup on your country and it might happen again really soon? Well, there's a lot to say about the coup and all that stuff. What I specifically want to focus on is the role of big tech in all of this. Social media is a huge part of Trump's personal power. Social media is how Trump found and supports his most loyal followers. The main reason why Trump could organize these kind of riots, or whatever you want to call them, is because he nurtured a base and provided them with a justification for violence when he says it's okay. In social networks like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, you're surrounded by people which reinforce your beliefs. I see a lot of people who are saying, I'm not surprised. And wow, this steadily escalated over 4 years. And yes, it's true, it did. And Trump was clearly a cult-like figure with the way that he was worshipped by his followers and could do no wrong. But the important thing is that this has been building up over many years. It's not like we were totally caught blindsided. I will admit, I was surprised. I was very surprised to see what was happening on TV. It was just a Thursday morning, a Thursday afternoon. When it did finally start to get really bad, when we felt our government under threat, that's when big tech stepped in, finally. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, they all banned Donald Trump's accounts. And this was the main mode of communication to the mass of his followers. This was the organizing point. Look, coups suck. They're very scary for most people because we don't know what's going to happen. It's a time of uncertainty. Everything can change. And it feels like we don't have a lot of power. Remember when someone criticized Elon Musk on Twitter and they said, you shouldn't use the American president to coup Bolivia just to get at their lithium? And then Elon Musk responded, we'll coup whoever we want. When he says we, I think he was meaning America and the industry. I'm going to leave a link down to the Wikipedia article on U.S. intervention in foreign regimes, which will give you the long history of all the times that we have installed coups in other countries for whatever reason, because we want their resources for bananas, like whatever we want really, we will coup whoever we want. And guess what? We'll coup whoever we want, even if it means we will coup ourselves. America, this is what a coup feels like. It feels bad. America, it's like we've been stabbing other people and we accidentally stabbed ourselves and we're like, ow, what? Is this what a stab feels like? This is awful. Why don't people make laws about not having coups? Someone should do something about this. And there is the big difference between us and other countries. The main reason that we had a different experience with this coup is because big tech stepped in. Big tech actually banned this attempted dictator's social media account. Big tech decided, no more, banned. We're going to pause this. And big tech decides how long. They're saying 13 days or permanently banned. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that was the right move. I'm very happy that happened. Maybe it should have happened more than 4 years ago. But just try to imagine what this must be like in another country. If we were in another country and the president was trying to do what he's trying to do now, what we would have to do is call up Facebook and we would have to say, hey, we have a dictator and could you please ban their account because it's inciting violence and possible genocide and our whole country could be destroyed. Do you think you could ban them for like 2 more weeks? Now, let's pause and think about this from the social media perspective. And let me ask you, in the past couple of days, have you been glued to your phone? Have you been refreshing your Twitter feed? Have you been checking social media to see what your friends say? Have you been kind of glued in? Have you been nervously following the news? Well, guess what? From a social media perspective, you are now highly engaged. You are most likely looking through a lot of ads, reacting, commenting, arguing with your friends and family. From a social media perspective, you are now a highly engaged customer. And that's great for the platform. Let's go back to that phone call that we would have had. Let's try to imagine that some place like Bolivia is calling. We ring up Facebook, and while we're on the phone, Facebook is checking, oh, look at these engagement metrics. Well, if Facebook cares more about those engagement metrics from some country that is far away that they don't have any connection to, we'll likely get an HR rep from Facebook who's going to say, Facebook is very committed to its mission of spreading information and connecting communities. So we can't ban anyone. Like I said, I'm grateful that we live in this place where Mark Zuckerberg and the other CEOs and executives of the social media, that they actually care about our country. They care about the people here. They look on TV and they see people kind of like themselves and people talking about all this stuff. And they're probably a little scared about what's going on. They moved in to do something. But not everyone has that privilege. Not everyone has that concern. And we're lucky to be living in America, which is the capital of big tech, that they'll do something. We're lucky that big tech cares enough about their own country. Okay, now, here are some important questions that I'd like you to consider. What if Mark Zuckerberg was a Trump supporter? Now, I'm not saying that he's secretly a Trump supporter. I'm saying, what about another world where Mark Zuckerberg was an open Trump supporter? What would have happened? Maybe Twitter would have banned Trump, but would Facebook and Instagram leave it on? It's tough to say. Can we impeach Mark Zuckerberg from being CEO of Facebook or a billionaire? Does his term ever end? Yet Mark Zuckerberg, a private citizen, was able to influence an election and a coup. What if the next president or possible dictator has ties to big tech? Will we see the same big tech interference and intervention that we saw here? Big tech needs to develop international anti-authoritarian software. We should detect violent fascism while it's growing. We can't deny the role that social media plays in nationalism, conspiracies, and the destruction of societies. How do we do it? Well, let's take the brightest minds of our generation, which are currently working on ads and getting more ad revenue, and let's give them a month to think about how to build this new software. And Mark Zuckerberg, if you're listening, please take me on your spaceship if you're leaving the planet. And if you have a bunker, I don't take up that much space. I can sleep under a stairwell, like Harry Potter. Psh, what? Isn't it? Dobby.